She was already gone by the time he found him. He just didn't know it yet. His name was Jairus. Synagogue leader. 31 years of carefully measured words. 31 years of knowing which rooms to enter and which men to stand beside and which names to say out loud and which ones to leave unspoken. He knew exactly what Jesus cost. The whispers. The divided rooms. The colleagues who lowered their voices when his name came up and raised their eyebrows when you didn't join them. Men like Jesus were problems. Jairus had spent his entire career avoiding problems. Then his daughter stopped eating. It started small. The way the worst things always start. A missed meal. A slight fever. A pallor that the morning light made worse. By the second day the fever had a name. His wife whispered it to the physician who came and left without certainty. By the third day the physician stopped coming. By the fourth day the house had changed. You can always tell when a house has changed. The air. The careful way people speak. The way they stop looking directly at the bed. The women had begun preparing his wife. An elder had taken him aside. Jairus, he said. Carefully. The voice of a man delivering a verdict he did not write. You should prepare your heart. Jairus nodded. He went back inside. He sat beside his daughter. She was 12 years old. She had her mother's eyes and his stubbornness and a laugh that arrived before anyone expected it and stayed longer than was strictly necessary. He watched her breathe. Counted it. In and out. In and out. He thought about Jesus. He had been thinking about Jesus for 2 days and refusing to think about Jesus for 2 days, and the refusal was losing. He stood up. He found him in the lower market. The crowd was already thick. It was always thick. The man attracted bodies the way heat attracts flies, and Jairus stood at the edge of it and felt everything he had built in 31 years press against him at once. His position. His reputation. The careful architecture of his life in that city. If he walked into that crowd. If he was seen. If word reached the council. His daughter's breath. In and out. In. He walked into the crowd. He pushed through harder than he meant to. Desperate in a way that would have humiliated him yesterday. He reached Jesus. And did the thing he had never done. Not in 31 years. Not publicly. Not in front of anyone. He fell. Knees on the stone. Hands on the ground. The posture of a man who has run out of other options. My daughter, he said. The words came out broken. He had not meant them to come out broken. She is dying. He looked up. Please. If you come, if you just put your hand on her, she will live. I know it. He did not know it. But he had nothing left except saying it. Jesus looked at him. Not with pity. Not with the careful distance of a man calculating the political cost of a synagogue leader at his feet. With something direct and calm and completely unhurried. Take me to her, he said. They walked. Too slowly. The crowd followed, of course it followed, it always followed, and Jairus walked beside Jesus and counted steps and calculated distance and felt every second stretch into something almost unbearable. Faster, he thought. Please. Faster. Then Jesus stopped. Who touched me? The crowd pressed. The disciples confused. Voices overlapping. Jairus stood and felt something he had not felt since the fourth day. Helplessness. Pure and absolute. His daughter was dying 3 streets away and Jesus was standing still asking who touched him, and the crowd was pressing and the seconds were. My daughter, he started. Then he saw the face. a man from his household. Standing at the edge of the crowd. He had been running. He had stopped running. That was how Jairus knew. Men only stop running when there is nothing left to run toward. Your daughter, the man said. Quiet. She is gone. He glanced at Jesus. Don't trouble the teacher anymore. The world did not end. That would have been easier. It simply stopped. Sound stopped. Movement stopped. The crowd pressed around him and he felt none of it. Gone. He had been 3 streets away. 3 streets and 5 minutes and she was. Jairus. Jesus was looking at him. Only at him. As if the crowd did not exist. Do not be afraid, he said. Only believe. Jairus opened his mouth. Closed it. What was there to say she was gone? The man had said it. Men who have seen death know what they have seen. Do not be afraid. He was not afraid. He was destroyed. Only believe. Believe what that a dead girl could. He looked at Jesus. At the face that had said take me to her without hesitation. At the eyes that had looked at him, not at the synagogue leader, not at the useful ally, not at the problem to be managed at him. He had nothing left. Nothing except 3 streets and 5 minutes and whatever this man was. All right, he said. One word. The smallest prayer he had ever made. The house was already loud when they arrived. Professional mourning. Women who knew exactly how grief was supposed to sound, filling the rooms with the structured performance of loss, not false exactly, not unkind, just shaped. The way loss gets shaped when a community knows its rituals. Jesus stood in the doorway and listened. Then he walked inside. She is not dead, he said. The mourning stopped. Every face turned. She is sleeping. One beat of silence. Then laughter. Not cruel laughter. The laughter of people who have seen death and cannot be told otherwise. The laughter of certainty. Jairus stood and watched them laugh at the man he had humiliated himself to find, and felt something move through him that had no name, not anger, not hope, not despair, something between all of them, something that lived in the place where a father goes when he has given up and cannot stop hoping anyway. Everyone out, Jesus said. The laughter stopped. They left. The room became small. Quiet, just Jairus. His wife. His daughter. And him. Jesus walked to the bed. He did not perform. He did not prepare. He simply sat beside her. Took her hand. The hand that Jairus had held 4 days ago when the fever was new and he had told her it would pass. Talitha cum. Little girl. Arise. Silence. Nothing moved. Jairus looked at his daughter's face. The stillness of it. The terrible, final stillness of a thing that has stopped. He thought, I was too late. He thought, I walked into that crowd for nothing. He thought, I should have come yesterday. I should have come 2 days ago. I should have. Her fingers moved. He stopped thinking. Her fingers moved. Small. Almost nothing. Then a breath. A real breath. The kind that fills the chest. The kind that means something. Then another. Her eyes opened. Just like that. No announcement. No light. No moment of drama proportionate to what it was. Her eyes opened and she looked at the ceiling, and then she turned her head and she looked at Jairus and she said the word. Father. He made a sound he had never made before. Not a word. Not a cry. Something that came from the place where a man goes when he has been broken completely and then handed back what he thought was gone forever. He crossed the room. He took her hand. He could not speak. She looked at him with the mild curiosity of someone waking from a long sleep. "I'm hungry," she said. Jesus looked at them. "Give her something to eat," he said. And walked out. No speech. No explanation. Just a girl sitting up in a bed. In a room that had been full of mourning an hour ago. Jairus sat beside her while his wife brought food. He watched her eat. The movement of it. The ordinary, impossible, unremarkable movement of a living child eating bread in the late afternoon light. He had watched her breathe for 4 days. Counted it. In out. In. He knew exactly what it meant for it to stop. He would never stop counting it again. Later, much later, when the house had quieted and she was asleep again, really asleep, the deep untroubled sleep of a child who does not yet understand what happened, Jairus stood in the doorway of her room. He thought about the crowd. The 31 years. The careful architecture. The name he had refused to say out loud. He thought about kneeling on stone in front of a man his colleagues called a problem. He thought about 3 streets and 5 minutes and the face of the man who stopped running. He thought about what Jesus had said. "Do not be afraid. Only believe." He had not believed. Not really. He had simply had nothing left except one word. All right. And it turned out that was enough. He looked at his daughter breathing in the dark. In out. In. And thought about the thing he would spend the rest of his life trying to find words for, the moment it was already too late. And wasn't. Mark 5:21, 43, Luke 8:40, 56.